welcome back to the Bookworms, buddy. It's time for another Tuesday Talks. Tuesday Talks is a group that I started with Janelle over at Mrs. J. Rod's Reads, and every Tuesday we discuss book-related topics. If you'd like to be a part of this, I will link to the Goodreads group below, so you can go check that out. We'd love to have you. This week's discussion is on our favorite authors and why. This is a really fun topic for me because I have a lot of favorite authors. And as you all probably know by now, my favorite author is Stephen King. I love horror books, even though I don't really get all that scared anymore with horror books. But I like also the disturbing aspects of a horror book as well. With Stephen King's books, though, with his horror, for me it's more about the characters that he has created and their development, because I think Stephen King is probably top-notch when it comes to characters and their development and that sort of thing. So that is my main reason why I like Stephen King. He also has, you know, really different plot lines in a lot of his books. And he's just legend now to me. I can't help but like his stuff, and I will read everything that he writes just because I've had so many great experiences with his books. There's not very many books at all that I don't like of his. One of them that I didn't really care for was From a Buick 8. I just didn't get the whole story. It's about this car that sits in the shed, and it stays in the shed the whole time, and people telling stories about it. And then there's a few creepy things that happen in the book, but it just didn't have enough for me in that book. But that is about the only one that I really did not care for. The only other one I can think about is Black House that he wrote with Peter Straub. I love The Talisman, which was the first book, and then Black House was the second book, and it didn't feel like Stephen King. It felt more like it would have been Peter Straub. I don't know. And then Talisman felt more like Stephen King, so I've been pretty happy with most of the stuff. Another one of my favorite authors, you guys probably know now, is Jonathan Mayberry. He's great with characters as well. He's got his Benny and Mira series, which is his young adult. That was my first experience with zombies, pretty much. I read Warm Bodies, but that seemed kind of cutesy, and I wasn't really looking to read a cutesy zombie story. So then the next one I read was Jonathan Mayberry's Benny Mira series, and I absolutely loved it. I love growing with the characters as you go through the series. And then, of course, you all know I love the Joe Ledger series. His characters are just really flawed. They're not perfect characters, and that's what I love the most about Joe. He's gone through a lot of stuff. He's had a lot of loss. He's had a lot of pain and heartache, and he's had, you know, to deal with terrorism and all kinds of stuff. And I loved his character right from the first book, and it just got better after that. So Jonathan Mayberry is definitely a favorite author. Another favorite author for me is Ellen Hopkins. I love her realism. That is my favorite thing about Ellen Hopkins' writing. She writes with realism. Now, she does write with a lot of triggers, so if there's a particular book and you can read the subject matter, the synopsis of the book, then and you have issues with that, then you might not want to read that because, you know, like I said, she writes with realism, and there are triggers to a lot of her stuff. So you kind of have to keep that in mind when you're reading her stuff. But I'm going to tell you, when you read an Ellen Hopkins book, you're going to feel something. Out of every book I've ever read, I felt something. There's not really many of her books that I really didn't like. Her adult novels, Collateral, and Triangles. Triangles I think I liked a little bit better than Collateral. Collateral really made me mad. And there were parts in there that I just was seething. But other than that, all of her books, you know, she writes mainly young adult, and I think she's better with young adult than she is with adult novels, which was Collateral and Triangles. Another one of my favorite authors, I don't want to make this too long, but another one of my favorite authors is Richard Lehman. Sadly, Richard Lehman passed away in 2001, and I know I still have many books of his to get, and they're getting harder to get now, so I'm really thankful for my used bookstore because they have supplied me with most of Richard Lehman's books. He is on, I know I've said this before, but he's on his own level of writing because, you know, it's a scale for him. And you're going to love him or you're going to hate him. There's no in between with Richard Lehman's writing. He writes like a dark humor. Like, not all of his books are like humor, but he writes horror novels, but it's on a darker plane, and it's just out there. It's hard to explain unless you actually read his stuff. That's why I'm saying you're going to love him or you're going to hate him. I happen to like his stuff, and I've not really been disappointed except by maybe one book, which was called Bite. It was just monotonous to me, but everything else I've ever read by Richard Lehman, loved it, and I'm still searching for the rest of his books, and I know there's a lot to go, but I'm going to get there. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm just going to stop at Richard Lehman because I have a huge list, and I don't want this video to get outrageously long. Maybe I'll have another video, or just keep doing my Let's Talk Authors, and we'll do it that way. So that's it for me, guys. Who are your favorite authors, and why are they your favorite authors? Let me know in the comments below. We will talk about it. Thanks, guys, for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.